think they're run out. Been running and going all day. I guess you guys can see that I've got pretty much everything cleaned up except, of course, the brush piles. They're actually going to stay, and I will fall the trees and then I will move them around accordingly. Probably what I'll do is when the dozer gets here, start moving dirt, on the top side, and then try to transfer those up so that I can use those for my hugelkultur. My idea is if I put a couple of 2x4s, stand them upright on the cage of those forks, and then secure them, I could probably drive right underneath that and lift up a whole big huge stack of it at one time. But anyway, I've got a couple of logs, got these piles of wood that I piled up, I've got some posts that I got to move here, a couple more piles over there, and then I've got, I think I counted 5 large trees that are going to have to come down, and then the rest of them are anywhere from 6 to 8 inches. So there won't be a whole lot of work other than cutting the tops up and stacking those up and doing something with them. But I've just about got all this area cleaned up and ready for the dozer, so I'll be excited when he gets here, be able to start leveling. Well, I say level, it's probably going to have some slope on it, not only for it to drain, but I just probably am not going to have enough to level it out, but it will certainly not be this steep when we get done with it. But anyway, this has been a pretty good lick for one person, cleaning all this debris up, because I mean it was absolutely thick. The logs that I had piled up, and the slab wood that I had stacked up, and all of this underbrush. I think I counted 6 huge piles of underbrush that I've got, and I've still got some laying out there too that hasn't even been picked up. For the most part, that's all I'm going to do. It's fairly clean. But I'll get those couple of logs moved, get all this wood picked up, and that big stack of wood over there, and we should be ready to start falling some trees. I was coming back around the corner and I just had to stop and turn the camera on. It's even hard for me to imagine what that used to look like. I remember there was a pile of logs here and just a bunch of thick, dense underbrush and some scraggly trees. I've still got a few, but I'm going to cut those out. But that looks so much better. It looks so much cleaner. And when I get all of that cut down and then we start building the buildings back there, I think it's really going to look good. And I'm hoping that when he gets here that we don't have any issues, because not thinking about it, I've got a couple of stumps that were cut low to the ground, and they're a pretty good sized tree, and his dozer's not a big dozer, so he may have some work cut out for him. Of course, they're on the downhill side where I'd cut them before, so hopefully that will aid him in trying to dig them up. But I noticed that a while ago. Got a couple of those that we're going to have to try to work out, but the rest of them, when I fall these trees, I'll leave them sticking up about waist high. That'll make them easy for him to push over. But that really it looks so much better. Like I said in the other video, now I'm going to have to continue and do the whole perimeter because it looks so good. I'll want the rest of it cleaned up. I think that poplar right there, that poplar right there by the sawmill, I'm not sure, but I may wait till spring to cut it. I'm going to have to put a ladder up, get up as high as I can, tie a cable onto it, run it down the hill, and grab a hold of that, lean the tree this way. I'll have to cut the smaller one off first because it's already leaning that way. So once I get all those other trees cut and lay them, get them all worked up, then this one can come down, I can work that one up, then I can work on the big one, get some tension, and what I'll have to do is have somebody on the saw, and I'll have to get on the tractor, and as we finish cutting it, then I'll have to start pulling it that direction.
You see right there, it's growing right into the metal.
Yeah, originally when we were actually putting that metal on, seemed like it was about that far out away, but these poplars, they grow so fast. It has grown right in to the metal. It has grown that far in just a year. So, and then the other thing too is I've noticed that every time a dead branch falls off, it comes down with a bang. So that'll be a good lick when I cut that down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off up here, and then I'll cut this off up in here. But once it's down, then I'll trim this out, and I'll use some of that wood, and I'll make me a nice little work station right there, because it'll be a long time before that trunk ever dies and rots out. So I might as well go ahead and use that and build kind of like a table right on the outside right there. But yeah, that tree's going to have to come out. There's a lot of board feet of lumber in that thing too. You probably heard me talk about this in the last video, but this material right here was left over from what I had cut to fix the bottom of the steps, which was that dead standing tree that had down there in the field. And there's still another good sized log, probably another 12-foot log. I'm hoping, I had actually milled this 2 inches thick. I've got this and 2 more. I got a corner desk that I'm going to make in there where I'm going to do my editing, kind of by the bathroom area. And then I'm hoping with that remainder down there that I can actually get enough material to make the kitchen countertops. It's going to have to be at least 12 feet long. So if I can cut it and get any depth out of it at all I'll need is 4 pieces. I'll need 2 12-footers and probably 2 8-footers, which I think I can get that. Hopefully, you know, that will be the case, and then I'll have the countertops for the kitchen that I can actually cut those, mill them up, and they can start drying out. That's the reason that I've got these kind of stacked up here when the sun in the evening to try to. But I tell you what, I really dig these wormholes. I like that look. I like that effect. And I think that it's going to work up to be a really nice, not only desk, but a really nice countertop too, if the rest of that log is the same as this. You know, we're still getting comments on what I should do with this little door right here. Comments like, you know, the rock would look good. Comments like slab wood, barn door. But you'll just have to wait and see. We're going to let it be a surprise. But yeah, we're still getting comments about that. And I think I had mentioned to you, probably not going to get to working on this rock again until next year, because the temperatures are not going to stay above 40 degrees very long. So I just don't want to take a chance. But I'll take that wire and I'll go ahead and screw it up. That way it holds up that tar paper. And it gets it out of the way too. So I'll finish doing that, and that way it'll be ready to go once the weather changes and starts warming back up. But I've got a whole lot to do, especially with clearing that property over there. That's kind of been taking the priority as of late. But still working on the cabin on the inside, working on the trim, getting that done. Got quite a bit of the ceiling done. So I've got a few more thin strips that go up against my purlin that I've got to finish, and then I can start running the I guess you would call it batten on this side that actually covers up the crack of the sheetrock. But it's starting to really all pull together and look good. And I've got something else I'm going to show you. You probably watched me in that last video burning these plates that actually go on the receptacles and the switch plates. But I've got a couple of these, a couple of 3-ways. I've just burned them ever so slightly. I've got a few of the 2-ways, and then of course I've got several of these receptacles, and they actually have little steel plates. They're wooden. I've got little steel plates, and they're glued on the back. The problem is that when you heat something, it wants to draw. So that other 3-way switch plate actually cracked right in the very middle. But I think that I can push it back and glue it, and then once that sets up, I think it'll be okay. This one right here isn't done that much, and I think once I get it up there and get it screwed on, it'll be just fine. But yeah, that's the problem with trying to heat something like this up very thin, and then that metal. So but I've got them all done, and these here, they weren't a problem. It was these bigger ones here that caused a little bit of an issue, but I still have to bring those outside. I was supposed to get up in the high 60s, close to 70 for about 3 days this week. So I was waiting for the weather to turn before I bring these back out and oil them up. Then I'll set them aside to dry. But these are really going to look good up against that dark stained plywood that I've got on the bottom. And then also these will go good on the white wall. Actually, these will go good on the white wall. But I've also picked up some of the flooring. Let me show that to you. So this is the oak pattern of flooring that I picked out. I wanted something that was a little bit textured, a little bit roughed up, and then I wanted the pine pattern that they had. Totally was just unacceptable. Okay, I wouldn't have put it in here. But this oak pattern, here's another one right here, is really nice. And the other thing too is it's got a really thick rubber coating on the back of this underlayment that is glued to the back of it. And then of course, you know, it does snap together. And it's got a lifetime guarantee. It's waterproof, so I don't have to worry about putting it in the kitchen or the bathroom. And it says that it's also dog proof. It's guaranteed. The guy that does flooring for a living, I met up with him yesterday. He said you won't be sorry by using this. And you know, I can't use carpet. I can't use hardwood flooring because it's worse than this as far as the dogs go. The only other choice would be to leave them outside. But I think that, you know, according to the manufacturer, and according to, he said that he's put a whole lot of this in and hasn't had any issues with it. And this is what they're using now, front door to back door, on a lot of the high-end homes in the metropolitan areas. And so since they had this oak pattern right here, I decided to go ahead and get it. Now it's going to cost, I thought a couple thousand. It's going to be just shy of $3,300 because this was a little bit more expensive. You know, you can get different quality, different grades, and this is the laminate that ended up costing more money in order to get all of the features that I wanted. So and then he said, you know, and there's also a lot of different brands, and when I met up with him, he said, you know, anything in this line right here, which is called Life Proof, he said anything in that line, just pick a color and go with it. But I decided to go ahead and get this, and what I need to do is I had them work up an estimate and got
$100 off by ordering a lot of it from, because they didn't have quite enough. I need 50 boxes of this, and there's 7 pieces per box. So I need 50 boxes of it, and they were just shy, but this way I get it all from the pull from the same lot. You know, I won't have maybe a darker box as opposed to a lighter box. It'll all come from the same batch, in other words. So got $100 off by ordering the batch instead of picking it up at the store. And then we ran it through on his brother's account, which he's a contractor as well, and got basically another 10% off, or at that rate, talking about that kind of money, basically got all the tax money off. But anyway, yeah, I think this is really going to look good. I laid a piece of it down in there last night, and it really does look good up against that dark, you know, up against the dark border or the bottom that I put on the wall there. And so it's going to really tie in good. I said that I was going to go with a lighter color. This will help bring some more light into the house because it's not a really dark color. But yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I was impressed at the way that they have engineered this, and it's very cushiony. So hopefully, according to what he says and according to what the manufacturer says in the box, I shouldn't have any issues with it. If I do, it just pops out and you pop a new one into place. So that's the good thing. Nothing's glued down, nothing's nailed down or anything like that. It just basically floats. There's a couple of areas on the floor. One is a high spot. I'll have to buff that down, and that's where 2 pieces of that OSB actually met. One's riding a little bit high, and then there's another right in the very center of the cabin. I had to split one down the middle because of, you know, couldn't go around the posts, and so I've got 2 that are meeting with just a little bit of a dip. And I think what happened was, if you remember watching me put the floor joists in, I tried to put all the crowns to the top, and I had one that was really crowned, and I had to mill it off with a planer, but there was another one, and I think I forgot it. So when it actually went together, that is where I've got that high spot over on that one side. But it's okay, because it's not really bad, so I just take off a little bit off of that OSB, because he said, you know, a lot of the blemishes from construction, he said, you know, it's not an issue, but if it's too high, what it can end up doing over time is breaking down this locking mechanism when you're stepping on it. So that's something that we don't want to do. So I will knock down what I can. Of course, I'll have to sink the screws down a little bit farther, but we'll knock that down, and then it shouldn't be any problem. But yeah, there you go. This is going to be the flooring for the cabin. I can't remember, it's something oak, but basically an oak pattern. Well guys, we certainly appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us up here at the cabin. My son, my daughter, and I, we can't thank you enough for the support that you give us on both of our channels. And I'll tell you, again, I just have to say that I was so excited about sending those 2 chainsaws off. We enjoyed so much giving those away, and we certainly hope that the people that got that get a lot of use out of them. You know, also January is right around the corner. We've got a new year coming up, 2022. Who knows what will happen next year, what kind of milestones that we'll hit next year, but I'll tell you what, we will be so looking forward to whatever it is, to being able to give that away, because nothing pleases us more than to hit that random picker and draw those names and send out whatever it is that's being given away that month or that milestone to you guys, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a channel. You guys, you are the channel, and we certainly do appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the video down here. Hope that you guys have a great afternoon. You all take care. I look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.